What makes a good watch a good watch? Is it the brand name? Is it the design, the movement, or simply the price? I think it's a combination of all these, among other factors. Why the Tissot PRX is such a good watch is because it nails all these at under 700 US dollars. There's no doubt that the PRX has been one of the best sub $1,000 watches over the past few years. But one startup wants to challenge Tissot while establishing itself as a great sub $1,000 watch brand. That is, Chicago-based micro brand Astor and Banks with their Fortitude Lite. In this video, I'll be comparing the powder blue dial version Fortitude Lite Series 2 from Astor and Banks with the 40mm Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 in ice blue. As you can see, both watches are similar in many regards, including the dial color and price. But we'll dive deeper in this video comparing these two watches in terms of the case and crown, the dial design, the movement, the bracelets, the wearability, brand recognition and heritage, warranty, and finally, the pricing and availability. So without further ado, let's dive in. First up, the case and the crown. The Astor & Banks has a 38.5mm steel case that is 10.9mm thick, including the crystal. Also being just 45.5mm from lug to lug with 20mm between the lugs, this watch is very wearable. The case has both brushed and polished elements, and thankfully the bezel has a brush finish which helps hide scratches. The PRX has a roughly 40mm tonneau-shaped case made of stainless steel with a thickness of 10.9mm and a lug-to-lug width of 45mm. So on paper, the Tissot is just as tall and thick as the Astor and Banks. The PRX has a case that is brushed and mirror polished that looks simple and minimalistic, much like the Astor and Banks. Both watches are very similar in this regard. Where they differ is when you look at the crowns. The PRX has a very simple crown with very average feeling winding action. It feels very much subpar when put up directly against the Astor and Banks' crown. The Fortitude Lite features a screw-down crown for added security, and the crown movement feels surprisingly good. I mean, it's really very solid. The winding feels very stable while not being too firm nor too loose. Finally, the Fortitude Lite comes with a depth rating of 200 meters, which is double the water resistance of the PRX. Having a smaller case, a better crown, and twice the water resistance makes the Astor and Banks the winner in this category. So it's 1-0 to the Fortitude. Next up, the design, finishing, and looks of the dial. The Tissot PRX has a classic round bezel and a raised waffle style dial. This dial is pretty clean with little text. Both Tissot and Astor and Banks offer several dial options, with Tissot offering the 40mm in blue, black, green, white, and ice blue. Astor and Banks goes the extra mile, offering the Fortitude Lite in 8 different colors, ranging from white, sand, peach, and even mother of pearl. Here I have the light blue versions of these two watches. The color on the PRX is not Tiffany blue, but a different, more vibrant shade of blue. Personally, I love this color. I think it looks very attractive. Now on the dial of the PRX, there is a small date cutout at the 3 o'clock position in white. Overall, the PRX looks good, simple, and clean. The Fortitude has a cyan colored dial, which looks more like Tiffany's famous blue. The dial has a slightly grain texture to it, which I quite like. Because this dial has no date cutout and no pattern, the overall look is very symmetrical and clean, maybe even a little boring. Now this is a good thing, because I'm a boring person. But you already know that. Like the Tissot, the text on the Astor and Banks is again minimal, which I like. Purely in terms of color, I like the Tissot's dial color more. It's sort of a refreshing blue, which I enjoy. Coming to the lume comparison, you can see that because of the thin hands on the PRX, there's not a whole lot of lume on it. The result is legible, but not astounding. The Astor and Banks has a healthy application of grade A superluminova and produces a much better result, as you can see here. Now looks are subjective and some of you may like one or the other, but I actually quite like both the dials. The Tissot has a slightly more pleasing color and more interesting look. The Astor and Banks has a more symmetric look and stronger lume. For this reason, I'm going to give both the watches a point each in this round. Now let's come to the engines driving these two watches. Behind the solid case back, the Fortitude Lite uses an automatic Miyota 9039 no-date movement that's been regulated in-house to run with an accuracy of plus to minus 10 seconds a day. This watch also has a power reserve of 42 hours and is anti-magnetic up to 4800 amperes per meter. Most of my watches have dates, and I like having a date complication on a watch. But sometimes I do enjoy the hassle-free experience of not having a date on the watch. There is one less complication that can break, and I don't have to worry about changing the time between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. However, this simple Miyota movement just can't compete with Tissot's Powermatic 80 movement. The Swiss-made movement has almost double the power reserve at a very cool 80 hours. This gives the watch an engine that runs for over 3 days after a full wind. And if you use multiple watches, this feature is incredibly useful. Now, this is also a third-party movement, with Tissot actually using a modified ETA C07 movement for its caliber. While Tissot does not advertise the accuracy of the movement, it too runs somewhere between plus or minus 7 to plus or minus 30 seconds a day. In real-world use, I've not faced such a wide deviation, with the watch running within 5 to 10 seconds on average. Another advantage with the Tissot's movement is that you can actually see it. While it's not a visual masterpiece in any way, it's still better to be able to see the movement, unless you prefer a solid case back, you weirdo. So overall, I feel that the movement on the Tissot is better, giving the PRX its first outright win. If you're liking this video so far, please do hit that thumbs. I'm also hoping to hit 2000 subscribers by the end of August, so your subscription will go a long way. Let's just say I'm Astor and banking on it. Okay, let's keep the lame jokes aside and get back to the video with the fourth category, the bracelet. Now, both watches have very good bracelets. In fact, I will go as far as to say that these are some of the best bracelets I have experienced on watches under $1,000. The Tissot has an integrated steel bracelet with vertically brushed finishing. This bracelet has a butterfly-style clasp with a brand name etched on it. The PRX's bracelet is finished in a way that helps it shimmer beautifully in the light and makes it appear more premium than it is. The Fortitude Lite, on the other hand, has a standard bracelet fitted between 20mm wide drilled lugs. This is more of a no-fuss bracelet that's also comfortable on the wrist. It comes with a solid stamped clasp. This clasp has micro-adjusts to help you find a better fit, although you will need a tool to change the setting. While not as visually spectacular as the PRX, I think it is slightly more comfortable on my wrist. Another advantage of the Fortitude is that it has drilled lugs. This means that the OEM bracelet can be easily swapped out for another bracelet or strap. Moreover, the lug width is 20mm, meaning you will have a whole bunch of strap options readily available. This is not so easy on the Tissot with its integrated bracelet. You can swap the bracelet on it, but your options will be limited. In conclusion, the Tissot has a better looking and better finished bracelet, but the Fortitude's bracelet is more versatile and comfortable on my wrist. So I think I'll consider this a tie. Both watches are roughly 45mm lug to lug, so they wear decently on my 6-inch wrist. The lens distortion does make them appear slightly larger than they do in real life. But because of the tonneau case shape and integrated style, the Tissot does wear a little bigger, more like a 41mm watch. This style also makes it feel heftier on my wrist. The Fortitude Lite, on the other hand, has a 38.5mm round case with sloping lugs. The smaller, more traditional case makes it more comfortable on my puny wrist. And it wears even smaller when slapped onto a leather strap, which you can't do easily on a PRX. Here, let me mention that Tissot now offers a 35mm version of the PRX that sits better on my arm. I also did a comparison between the 35 and 40mm Tissot PRXs that you can watch here. But for this comparison, we are talking about the 40mm PRX. Owing to its more compact size and ergonomic fit, I'm giving the Astor and Banks the win in this category. Astor and Banks is a small micro brand based out of Chicago. It was founded in 2012 by Andrew Perez. On a global scale, this brand is virtually unknown. Tissot, on the other hand, was founded in Le Locle, Switzerland in 1853 and is one of the oldest Swiss watchmakers in the world. Tissot is known for making well-designed, reliable, and relatively affordable Swiss-made watches. In fact, over the years, Tissot has been the gateway into the world of Swiss watchmaking for many individuals, including myself. So yes, Tissot is a well-respected brand today and has a much bigger brand recognition and heritage than Astor and Banks. Tissot offers only a 2-year warranty on the PRX. But Tissot is known for making reliable watches and I don't think many people face problems with them. However, Astor and Banks offer a 5-year warranty. A much longer warranty means less hassle and makes the process of buying the watch less worrisome. This gives the Fortitude its fifth win over the PRX. Our final category is pricing and availability. The Astor and Banks retails at $650 while the PRX starts at $695 for the 35mm version and $725 for the 40mm version. This is an update because Tissot seems to have increased the price of the 40mm, which used to be $675 until recently. So while the Astor and Banks is cheaper, most of the Fortitude Lite models are sold out. Some PRX colors like the ice blue or mother of pearl may be hard to get because of increased demand, but they certainly aren't sold out. Moreover, you can more easily buy Tissots throughout the world. Both brands offer a lot for the money and there isn't much to separate them. So while the Astor and Banks wins on price, the PRX wins on availability and this round is again a tie. So there it is. It was neck and neck, but the Astor and Banks just edged out the Tissot. So which watch should you buy? Now I'm sorry to say this, but I think it comes down to your personal preference. Which dial do you like more? Do you like Tissot's more flashy integrated bracelet or Fortitude's more understated yet comfortable bracelet? Or is your pick purely down to the movements inside the watch? It's up to you, it's your choice. If you ask me, I would recommend the Fortitude Lite to a watch enthusiast, someone who wants to try something new and different. Objectively speaking, I think the Fortitude Lite is the better watch. In a vacuum, without any other factors, I would choose the Fortitude. However, we aren't in a vacuum, so it's impossible to ignore that the PRX is a Swiss-made watch with a great deal of heritage. For the majority of people, say people casually interested in watches, the PRX would be the most sensible option. If you had to pick one of these, which one would you choose? I would love to know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, a like would really be amazing and help out the channel a lot. Thanks again, and I'll see you all very soon.